2,000 years ago, the proudest boast was Civis Romanus Sum. Today, in the world of freedom, the proudest boast is Ich bin ein Berliner.
What can make an entire population feel unrest?
The wall was an abhorrent, ugly, man-made creation.
What can cause a group of people to reach beyond the restraints of their government and finally spread their opinions?
To me, the crocodile was a perfect symbol for the wall. Everything would be calm, and then you'd read that 2 people died at the border the night before. Just like an old crocodile. It sleeps peacefully, wakes up momentarily to kill, and then goes back to sleep.
Graffiti gave an opportunity for oppressed voices to finally speak. Art is expression. It surrounds us at all times and can be a source of emotions that go far beyond the average human understanding. Graffiti is an emblem of this, a source of rebellion, of unrestricted artistic expression and defiance. This art form was a reaction to suppression, and the result was a long-awaited revolution and reform.
Easy to go from one to the other. I'm in West Berlin at the moment. Now I'm in the East.
Revolution is change, whether it be political, social, or ideological. August 13th, 1961, a wall appeared in the street that divided East and West Berlin. This wall being built was both a social and political change. Due to this Iron Curtain, a large, obstructing architectural nightmare surrounding the whole of East Germany, the Berliners faced 28 years of separation. Families, loved ones, lives split by walls, subjecting the population to a lack of the freedom of choice. East and West Berlin had been 2 different entities for 17 years prior to the Berlin Wall being built. East Berlin was under the communist USSR, and the West Berlin was under the capitalist United States, United Kingdom, and France. The wall constricted the East Berliners from ever entering West Berlin, rather than simply separating East and West Berlin. When the East Berliners would attempt to move across the wall, they were often killed by East Berlin soldiers. The wall became a cage, an enclosure that led East Berliners to slowly realize their feeble chances of escape.
Graffiti is the application of a medium to a surface. I will show you graffiti, such as the letters on the end of that car directly in back of me. Is that an art form? I don't know. I'm not an art critic. But I can sure as hell tell you that that's a crime.
Freedom has many difficulties, and democracy is not perfect. But we have never had to put a wall up to keep our people in, to prevent them from leaving us.
Street art, vandalism, graffiti. These terms are thrown around day to day. The 3 are often used interchangeably as synonyms. However, there is, albeit quite vague, differentiation between each term. Street art pertains to a stylistic choice, legally spraying a wall, more artistic and expressive, less direct but in the environment and public. Vandalism can also be a stylistic choice, but it's more direct, tagging, marking, illegally spraying a wall, also in a public environment. In certain circumstances, specifically that pertaining to vandalism, graffiti has a negative connotation. Due to the societal condemnation of the word vandalism, the word graffiti, being the overarching term for the art style, was plagued as negative as well. People related to graffiti as being negative on top of vandalism. However, legal and illegal cannot be considered in this specific circumstance, as illegal vandalism and legal street art are both considered illegal under the term graffiti. Graffiti is an overarching term. Street art is graffiti, vandalism is graffiti as well. However, it is important to keep in mind that based on the definition, not the stylistic choice or societal viewpoints, street art is legal while vandalism is not.
Yeah, I bombed it. It's a matter. It's for me. It's not for nobody else to see. I don't care about nobody else seeing it or the fact if they can read it or not. It's for me and other graffiti writers that we can read it. All these other people who don't write, they're excluded. I don't care about them. You know, they don't matter to me. It's for us.
Dating back to ancient times, graffiti has always been a method to express the human desire to be remembered, even well after death. There's been a long-dated discussion on whether vandalism specifically is bad. Society holds questions as to whether this anarchic form of expression is detrimental. However, vandalism often is the final option to spread suppressed opinions. To the Berliners, their distress and opinions have been long ignored. The reaction to this was graffiti. Their final choice to break free from their opinions being subdued, the Berliners turned to vandalism. And it worked. In the 1970s, the wall became a symbol. It began to represent unrest, both in an economic and political standpoint. When the wall became recognized in this manner, public defacement erupted on the barrier. In the 1980s, vandalism on the Berlin Wall exploded. Large-scale street art-style murals and tag-style quickly graffitied messages were both prominent on the wall. The west side of the wall was completely covered in color, while the east was bleak in comparison. Thierry Noir was one of the main contributing graffiti artists, playing part in many of the coined artworks. Other artwork commonly recognized are the Fraternal Kiss, portraying two communist leaders kissing, and Brigitte Kinder's Trident breaking through the wall. Though many of the artworks were by experienced professional artists, the artwork wasn't intended solely to decorate the wall or be recognized as art in any manner. Though the graffiti was mainly modern art, it was not considered such.
There are many people in the world who really don't understand, or say they don't, what is the great issue between the free world and the communist world. Let them come to Berlin.
Let them come to Berlin, John F. Kennedy states in his famous speech, Ich bin ein Berliner. However, the east side of Berlin was completely walled off to the outside world. This statement strengthens the people of West Berlin and challenges those who remain ignorant of the failures of communism and a request for them to witness the unhappiness of their own people, East Berliners. And that request was fulfilled years later, when the wall, a symbol of oppression, fell, 20 years after graffiti being popularized in Berlin, expressing a population breaking free from their past subjugation. And through the fall of the wall, Berlin lay a capital of graffiti and street art to this day. When considering the Berlin Wall and graffiti, the art on the wall wasn't directly seen as art at the time. Not until the fall of the wall, or a little prior, was graffiti on the Berlin Wall considered art by the general population. It was seen as a political move, a form of spreading opinion, a way of breaking free from political restraints. Later, however, the raw, chaotic nature of the vandalized property brought attention from others. Later, the graffiti on the Berlin Wall was recognized as art. Commissioned street art specifically continues to be prominent in Berlin to date, and more socially accepted though less expressive when compared to vandalism. Graffiti continues to be used as protest, as when the city attempted to gentrify certain areas, removing graffiti or attempting to redesign to comply to a base of middle and upper class inhabitants, neglecting the working and poor class. Slogans and murals appeared, rebelling against erasing the identities of these areas to appeal to commercialization. Despite graffiti artwork continuously being erased, graffiti artists repaint and continue to spread their art nonetheless. Another example of graffiti constantly being intertwined into Berlin is when international artists were invited in 1990 to paint on the wall to celebrate freedom. These paintings covered a mile of the eastern side of the wall. In 1991, the East Side Gallery became an official city monument and a center for street art and legal graffiti. It is a prominent tourist attraction to date. However, graffiti artists did not respect the monument, as the Berlin Wall originally had been vandalized. Being paid to paint on the wall discredited the free expression that the vandalism originally had. Therefore, a large portion of the monument was painted over or vandalized by graffiti artists. The original murals were later restored and now monitored to ensure that they are not vandalized. This circumstance brings attention to whether graffiti is truly appreciated or considered art.
Because not the painting is interesting, it is the words and the sense is not the artist. The sense is there's a piece of the wall which divided the town 40 years in two parts. It is the place, it is the time, it's the symbol.
Art is a form of freedom, connected to every part of our lives, and graffiti was a pathway to freeing the Berliners from their oppression. Through graffiti, the Berlin Wall, an offspring of political revolution, a symbol of oppression, was transformed into a representative of resistance. The reaction of Berliners whose voices had been long silenced was graffiti, and by using this medium to express their voices, graffiti made a major step in the inevitable reform, the falling of the Berlin Wall, and the acceptance of Berlin as the heart of graffiti.
Freedom is indivisible. And when one man is enslaved, all are not free. All free men, wherever they may live, are citizens of Berlin. And therefore, as a free man, I take pride in the word, Ich bin ein Berliner.